Good evening. It's Thursday, the 20th of July, 2023. It's 10 to 4 Eastern time, so the market's not quite closed yet. I'm done for the day. I just wanted to just get my trade recap video done sooner, so I'm going to relax and enjoy a glass of wine, which I've just started. Cheers. On my chart at the moment is the MES, and I'm going to open up the hourly so we can just recap where we are. So today in my trade plan video I was watching this potential area here, which was this area of tops of candles and bottoms of candles, and possibly the bottom of this candle here, which is yesterday's low. And you can see it came into play just before the open, pushed down and pushed back up. I'll go into the 5-minute chart in a second, but I just wanted to recap the areas we was watching. We were watching 46.05 for a potential reject, and nice, it would have been a nice area had we got up there. We were watching this area here, which is a area on the weekly. It's a weekly pivot going back a year and a half, I think it was. And also we've got quite high volume congestion around this area as well. So it's a potential natural area of resistance. When we started the day, we were actually just above it when I did my video, and so it pulled down a few times through it, and I think my video was about here, so I didn't really know this was going to happen, this sell-off. I did mention in the video as well about this 50 moving average line, and I said that we're still bullish until we break through it. And like I said, when I said that, we were about there. It was about 8 a.m. Might have been a bit. We were at the top of this area, around this area. And I said one of my plans today was a break and retest off this 50 moving average. And if you took that trade, congratulations, because it would have been a great trade. Look at that, pushed right down. I took it, which I'll go into again in a second. I also took this trade here, and I wasn't even here. I didn't even touch my keyboard to take that trade, and I was up for the day, and I wasn't even trading, and I'll go into that as well in a second. Right, going into the 5-minute chart, so see a bit more detail. So this morning on my video, we were around, it was about 8 a.m, so it was about here, so we hadn't broken down below this weekly area yet, and in fact it looked like it was going to be, it looked like it wanted to push up, so I had those levels. That's why I had the rejection levels ready and some bounce areas. But what I did do is I put an OCO order in at exactly 45.79.75, that number there on this dotted line, and it was just there. And so I went to my daughter's talent show and concert, which she was amazing, by the way, and while I was there I got a notification, because I see this little symbol, the clock, that tells me when an alert when the stock touches the line, and I got a notification, so I knew I was in the trade. And then at the end of the concert, about 9, it would have been about 9:30, I checked my phone, and I was up quite nicely. I got in there, I had my stop just below this zone here, and look at that. That area, high concentrated volume on that, and that's the point of control. So just I think that's probably because of the volume we got over here and over here today. So without me even touching my keyboard or looking at a chart, half an hour after the market opened, about here, I was doing okay for the day. So I come out of my trades, and I probably should have stopped trading, because I didn't need a trade, because that's it. Didn't even, the point is, I wasn't even here to see that trade, and I was doing nicely, so I worked, didn't have to put any effort in whatsoever, just an OCO order. So that's a great trade, brilliant trade. My level was absolutely spot on. I could do with some more of those levels where I could just set my orders and walk away, because it just proves the point that you just have to trust your levels. So I can't even tell you what the volume was doing. It was just before the market opened as well, so I wasn't in control of it, but I just left it to my levels. It was a higher risk. If we go into my Discord, you can see MES. Here we go, it's this one here. No, this one here. MES long play 45.79 by 45.77. and 45.77 would have been the stop about there, which is exactly where I had my stop. So when I got back then, that's when the over trading started, and I like I said, I shouldn't have been trading, but I was watching this level again for a double bottom. I thought it might have come back down and pushed back up again, and so I went long here, and then I stopped myself out there, and I did try going long again a bit later. I'm not sure why. I can't remember why I did it, because it wasn't down to the volume, because the volume was not doing much more. I think it's over trading, but I did get in at the bottom anyway, and so it was a scalp, and I got in I think about there, and I got out I think it was just before the VWAP round here, so I did get in. I ate into some of my profit on trying to scalp this area long. I think I got in there, and I got in at the two areas I got in long were there and there, but obviously it stopped out. But then I think it was more revenge trading that made me get in S. I can't even remember why I got in. Maybe I saw something on the volume on the 2 minute, which maybe got me in. Maybe the 2 minute might have had a volume spike most likely, and I got it on the break of the 2 minute candle. But anyway, I didn't observe the ads because I should have added there and I should have added there, and used my weekly, and look at that, the weekly level was perfect if you wanted to use that as your out. So, but I was out way before. I was aiming for VWAP. I think I got out around about here, and it was a very small size anyway. So my next trade was actually the short of this weekly, and that was a great trade, brilliant trade. Again, I trusted my levels. It'd already broken through once, so I didn't have much trust in it, because I thought it might have done the same. But again, I was watching the volume. I saw increasing volume and above average volume candle, and so I got in. I used the 2 minute for my entry, and I think I was in just about there, or it was quite close to the actual weekly area. Again, these levels, don't forget, go back almost a year and a half. So I'm playing levels from a year and a half ago. It's crazy. And so I think this level and this entire box we're looking at is from a year and a half ago as well, this red zone. If you recall, before the market was open, it was actually a green box, if you saw my video. And because we were up here, and it's still a demand zone, but because we broke down through this area, my rule is that, well, it's not a rule, it's obvious really, if you break through and the demand is no longer a demand area, it's a supply area. So just to make it easier for me to read my charts and know where we are, I change the colour. So I often do that. Like down here, if we break down through this box in the next few days, then I'll change that to red as well, and that'll be a rejection area for the future. But now it's a rejection area and a potential supply area, it leads me to my next trade. So I took this trade here because I was just outside of this this area of supply, and it was also a weekly area, and like I said, on the 2 minute chart I got in on good volume as well, and I took profits down here. I took profits at this level again, and then it broke down, so I was out here, and then I had a bit of regret of getting out because I thought it was still going to be weak, so it pulled back, and I added another one here, and I let it come down. And I didn't take profit because I thought we were going to see the breakdown, and I know we did earlier, but I was expecting it to happen there, and it pulled right back again, so it come up to almost my add point, but I kept it. I was close to stopping out, and it came in, and I saw it pull back, and then the volume was still quite low as well, so there's no low volume. The volume was low on these big red and these green candles, so there was really no. I wasn't in danger of pushing back up because there was no volume spike. So I kept my short, my contract. I only had 2 contracts, and I had 1 contract, should I say, and I added on that break there. And as you can see, it was a topping tail, 2 topping tails in a row on the 5 minute, and it's a nice add. It came in, pulled back a bit, and then came down, and that was a great trade. I got out at this area here because it was a pivot from. It's that pivot there. And where's that from? That was from. So it's this pivot here, and I thought it might have had a bit of that's from Monday. I thought that might have had a bit of a say in today's levels, but as you can see, it went straight through it. So I was out, and then I took one more short here because I saw all these topping tails were all lining up. Let's just get in a bit closer. And I'll just show you the volume as well. So I had all these topping tails and it looked like it wanted to push down, even though I could see it trying to push up, but the tails kind of convinced me. So when it broke through here and it got back to the moving average, I went short. Only, I think it was 2 or 4 contracts. It was 4 contracts. I got in twice because my start positions are set up for 2 contracts at a time. And I was out down here. And the only reason I got out down here is because I saw this higher than average volume bar for this bar here. This bar here, higher than average. So that usually means we're coming to an end of a run down, and we've been running down since all afternoon from midday. And then what really convinced me was the next bar. We saw low volume here, and the price was still coming down, but on lowering volume, so it was getting tired at that point. And so I got out on the break when it pushed up through there, so I was all out. And so that's why I started my trade a bit earlier, because I was done trading. I had a nice move ups as well, but I think that's it. Was it 9 o'clock or was it 4 PM Eastern time? And so we officially close with a red candle on the daily. So let's have a look at the daily. Not had one of these for a few weeks, or wouldn't say it's a decent red candle. What I'm expecting to see actually is probably this come back to the moving average, maybe to the 20, and possibly one move up. Because I think if you go and look back on the weekly, which I'll do now, there is a pivot here. Here we go. So this area there, let's put that in. And let's put these 2 pivots in as well, because then we can see how that looks today. So let's go back to the hourly, the daily I meant. So what I think is going to happen, go back to that chart. So what I think is we're going to see happen is we're going to get a little bit of a pullback maybe today, or maybe this is it, and maybe we touch this again, and we're going to push up to this pivot. And then we're going to see some selling off back down to the 50, possibly. I think we still got unfinished business here. So it'll be interesting to see what the next few days bring. I did say yesterday I was expecting a red day either today or tomorrow, because we were so overextended. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, ignoring that one, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 days in a row where we've just been pushing up with that little tiny rest there. And on the weekly, what's it look like on the weekly? And look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 6, rest, 7, 8. And we've got a topping tail on the weekly. So potentially, if you look at the last time we had a topping tail, we had this one here, and we had a red day, a red week. And then the last topping tail here, we had those ones there, we had a couple of red weeks in a row. Another topping tail here, but none of these were really extended weeks. So let's have a look for an extended week. Going back, probably here, topping tail. Yeah, I don't know. I think we should we'll probably expect to see a bit of a sharp sell off, a week of selling or something, and then we've got the all-time high at 48.08 coming up due around there. So we've got this box, this area here, and this box here. And that is an area of supply, and it will be quite hard to push through that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think what we're going to do, we're going to see another push up and then a big push down, and maybe come up to this area. In fact, this point of control, look at this volume profile. I think that's where we're going to come back down to here. So probably from up here. So there you go. Anyway, hopefully you had a good day. So today, just a recap. My levels worked flawlessly. My levels worked, and I wasn't even in front of my computer. So the idea is trust your levels, because they do work. Also trust the volume as well. And my ins and outs were based on volume, especially at the bottom here. Even though we were still selling off, and I saw this volume spike, and that was my cue to look to get out of it. So then I got out there, and out on the break there, and that was purely based on the selling. And you know, a lot of people see that candle, think that's a strong move down, see 2 more candles and probably be trying to carry on shorting, thinking it's going to come down to here. But I was already looking to sell at that point, and I think that's a good sign. That's a sign that we're moving into a level of more pro trading than retail trading, because we're identifying areas where the pros are getting out and areas where the retail traders are staying in. And one last thing before I go, if you remember yesterday in my video, I talked about potential sell-off because we're getting into an area where we had trapped buyers. So possibly today that was it. So I said when we start coming up to into this area here, over the last few weeks of this push up, every time we pulled down to the 20, we were buying. So the 20, the 20, the 20, buyers are coming in, buyers are coming in, buyers coming in right up here in September 2022, November, December, more buyers coming in here, and then we pull back to the 20 there, more buyers would have come in. I don't know if you can see that. Zoom in. So more buyers would have come in here because it touched the 20 again, because that's what everyone's been doing, and it was easy to buy, expecting it to push up a bit harder. And then this big red candle came along, and that was the last time. So any of the buyers who were trapped here, who were buying, or up here, or even these buyers, have probably been watching. They saw it sell off. They saw this candle here, and on this particular week, they probably saw it push right up to their levels, thinking it's going to push out again, and it didn't. You can see it rejected that area, quite a big rejection, this big top in tail. So probably left all the buyers who didn't get out here were still holding the bag down here, and then they watched it for the next year. And they watched it for the next year, just go down and down and down, and then hit the 200 moving average, and then we started to see this push back up. And I think what we've been seeing today is probably these buyers who were trapped around this area, just really grateful to get out at break even. Hence why we had that red day today. Or we might even see how we get on tomorrow. It could even be a red week. Let's go back to the daily. So that's why we had this red day, and I think this is why I got these 2 zones drawn in this area, 46.30 and 45.90 area, because I think this is where the trap buyers are. And I think as soon as we get into this area, we're going to see a bit of a push down, where, you know, some of them will be happy to get out for a little loss, which is these guys here on the red day today. Some of them will be happy to get out at break even when it's in here, and maybe a few others will be waiting for it to push up, and then when they see it push down, they'll be selling. So I'm not going through that anguish of hanging on to my shares or my contracts, whatever, for another year. So I think that's where we are at the moment. So this area, I think, is going to be a bit of a red area, where people are selling up just to get out at break even from their trades from over here. Anyway, have a cracking evening, and I will speak to some of you tomorrow or a bit later. Good night.